So next question says where to publish blog posts, brand, LinkedIn page, Medium page, money sites, web twos, and drive stacks, and is blog content worth it and local? I think what you're at, I think this is he's saying where to publish blog posts, and then I think what he's doing is giving some options like the LinkedIn company page, Medium page, money sites, web twos, drive stacks. Where should you publish blog posts? I think I'm interpreting that correctly. Um, I was just looking at comments. Um, I think that's what he's asking. And if that's the case, then yeah, I would say all of those places except the money site, unless you know how to publish content on local business sites now. I'm assuming you're talking about for local SEO. And the reason why I say don't publish blog content on money sites unless you know what you're doing is because you can cause competing pages or potential just because they're competing pages does not mean that they're cannibalizing, but it is that they're cannibalizing each other, but it does mean that it's potential cannibalization. And competing pages lowers kind of the site quality score and lowers the performance of any of the pages that would be relevant to the search query that the page can get an impression for. It's better to have one page on the site that is optimized or focused that is optimized for the specific search query. And so why I bring that up is because I've done training on this recently, even in the Hump Day Hangout, so a free setting, public setting, where I've talked about pruning content to improve local SEO performance for those local businesses that have a ton of blog content. And guys, I've been very clear about this. All I did for several years, for many years in my local SEO agency was focus mostly on blogging from the client's money site. In other words, publishing blog posts on the client's main site, the blog of their main website, and then syndicating that content out to various Web 2.0 and social media assets and all of that. We used to hammer the shit out of the Web 2.0 and social media assets with kitchen sink spam, so a high volumes, link spam, and we would just hammer. That's what when my former partner Marco was one of our former partners. Marco was part of Semantic Mastery, and we had what we called Drive stacks and Google stacks and all that. But eventually, we came up with when Rob Beal became a kind of a joint venture partner with us, we ended up retitling it as called the SEO Shield, and the SEO Shield was a Drive Stack, the branded Web 2.0 network, which is the syndication network, a few other additional assets like the ID page and all that kind of stuff. Became what we called the SEO Shield, and we would just hammer those assets. Which why do we call it the SEO Shield? Because it was all of those branded type of assets and Google assets and all of that were built to link directly to the money site. And then we would do all of our link building to the SEO Shield assets. And at the time, bulk link spam was still effective. It may still be effective if you do enough of it. I don't like doing link spam at all anymore. I don't like that at all. I prefer 100% relevant links that we place one time and they last for pretty much forever. You see what I'm saying? Whereas high volume link spam, you have to constantly be building new links with the tools or buying link gigs or whatever, because a lot of those they're low quality links that you have to make up for it in high volume. And so a lot of those links get terminated or suspended or de-indexed over time. So you have to constantly be replenishing those links. But for a long time, that's what we did. Um, and so when Google's algorithm shifted and really the helpful content update, which was about a year ago now, that is really when I started seeing a lot of the sites that we have been blogging on for years, local business type sites, started to drop in rankings and organic search performance. And so after, several months of kind of playing around and trying to figure out what it was, I started pruning content from the sites that weren't getting any engagement or click through signals from search. So and I've talked about this in the mastermind and also I think on Hump Day Hangouts, but you can go to Search Console and do a search. Go to performance, right? Search performance, then click on pages so that it shows page URLs on the left-hand side of the performance report. And then you want to check average CTR and average ranking position, right? And then set your time frame to about 12 months. And if you look at the impression count, you want to sort descending by impressions. In other words, the page URLs that get the highest impressions should be at the top and declines as it goes down in number of impressions. And what you want to look at is the page URLs that are getting high impression counts that are getting zero click-through activity from search, right? And then look at the average ranking position. It's likely the main reason why that it's not getting any click-throughs is because it's, way far down in the search results. It could be on page 3 plus, like so position 30 plus or something like that. And so it's getting an impression in search, but it's never getting any click-through signals from search, right? That's content. I'm not saying blanketly just go prune all of your content that doesn't get any click-throughs from search, because what if those pages are getting activity from other sources? What if they're getting internal link clicks, meaning somebody comes in on a different entrance page of the site, so a different entry point of the site, so a different page, and then they click through to that page? Then you wouldn't want to delete that page. That page likely has value if it's getting internal traffic from internal link clicks, excuse me, right? Or what if you're sending traffic to a page via external sources, like an email campaign, or a social media campaign, or social media posts, or a PPC campaign, right? Not a Google Ads, but a social media ads campaign, or display ads campaign, or something like that that's not a click from search. Do you understand? So the point that I'm trying to make is, and I just did some training on this in our mastermind recently, but I was talking about, and I'm getting back to his question, which is why shouldn't we publish content onto the money site blog posts? Well, you can if you know how to do it. I just did training specifically on this last week in our mastermind, for the mastermind webinar. So I explained how to publish content properly on the money site. But the reason why I stopped doing it was because, like I said, if you have a lot of content on the site, so page URLs on the site, whether it's a page or post, it doesn't matter. Okay, but if you have page URLs on a site that are getting a lot of impressions but never get any click-through activity from search, then it's likely that that is causing a problem. It's lowering the site quality score. Why I bring this up is because I would extract any of those page URLs or export them from Search Console and then go look at something like analytics to determine if indeed those page URLs are receiving traffic and engagement from other sources outside of search, other than search, if that makes sense. Because if they are receiving, if some of those pages are receiving traffic, click activity, etc., from external sources or internal link clicks or whatever, then those pages, I wouldn't eliminate them. Okay, because especially if you have analytics on the site, Google understands that those pages might not be getting any clicks from search, but they are still valuable and important to that website because they're getting internal link clicks or engagement from external sources outside of search, I mean. So hopefully that's clear. But the reason I bring all of that up, guys, is because what is the alternative then? If you're not supposed to publish content on money sites, which I'm not saying you're not supposed to, I'm saying you got to be careful. If you're going to do it, you can cause problems if you are publishing content that is competing with other pages on the site, right? It's going to lower the performance of all the pages that are relevant to a search query when there's more than one page on the site that can be served for given an impression for that query. So that's why I tell most people in our mastermind now that not to blog, at least if not on the main money site. You want to do it externally. So that gets back to the question, which is, if unless you know how to publish content properly, structure it properly to where it's not competing with other pages of the main website, then I recommend instead publishing blog content on external branded assets, right? So the Google site, sites.google.com, that's a great one. Blogger used to be, but Blogger, it comes and goes. I don't know what it is. It's weird with Blogger. Blogger sometimes acts like it's toxic. Other times it acts like it's a Google property, right? Which it is, and Google loves it. And it kind of hit or miss. But Google sites, branded Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, Weebly, any of those, Jimdo sites, right? Jimdo sites for whatever reason are performing quite well right now. So that'd be another one. Strikingly, a lot of those types of Web 2.0 assets, yeah, branded LinkedIn brand page, publish content there. Those tend to rank quite well too, right? Drive stacks, yeah, I mean you can put content into a drive stack, but that's not treated quite the same. So basically, for our white label SEO service, where we do Google Business SEO services, we do content marketing for the client, but we don't publish it on the money site. We use Web 2.0 assets. And so what I recommend for that, guys, is if you got multiple Web 2.0 assets, it makes sense. If you're on a consistent blogging schedule, let's just say that you publish 2 blog posts per week, or excuse me, per month for a client, then it's best, in my opinion, right now, to publish a long form blog article on a Web 2 asset. And then each time you have another blog post due, publish it onto another branded asset, or take a few of the branded assets from the network and make them your primary blog accounts. Like, in other words, G Site, WordPress, Weebly, Jimdo. Let's just use those 4 as an example. We'll just stop at those 4, okay? then what I would do is every 2 weeks, when you, if that was the schedule, right, 2 blog posts per month, every 2 weeks I would, the first blog post would go to G Site, next one to WordPress, next one to Weebly, next one to Jimdo, and then I would start that cycle over again, right? So every 2 months I would go back and publish another post on G Site. Then 2 weeks later, another post on WordPress or Weebly or whatever the next one was that I said. See what I'm saying? And what happens is those external branded assets start to develop their own kind of authority because they have content, but it's external content that's not competing with the money site. You see what I'm saying? And so it makes sense then to publish blog posts on external assets because it avoids any potential competing pages or cannibalization. And it also adds and builds authority to the branded assets, which makes them more effective, right? Makes them more valuable. So hopefully that's clear. It was a good question. But yeah, publishing blog posts, you can do it on the money side if you know what you're doing and if you know how to structure the content properly and nest it, in the proper categories with the internal linking done properly. All of that can be done. But if you don't know what you're doing, and the easiest way to do it is really to just publish content on external branded assets instead. Okay. Then it doesn't compete.